Welcome to the Morning Download Podcast, your go-to resource for personal finance, economics, and market insights. In just 8 minutes a day, we provide valuable information to help you make better money decisions.
Hey there, investors. So let's talk about what's been happening in the world of finance and markets. I'm sure you've heard about the Tesla debacle, right? Well, buckle up, because things are about to get even more exciting. We're in the midst of earnings season, and you know what that means? All eyes are on the big tech companies that are set to announce their earnings next week. But before we dive into that, let me hit you with a fun fact. Did you know that 2021 holds the record for the highest number of IPOs? Yep, you heard me right. We've had a whopping 1,035 initial public offerings this year. That's a whole lot of new companies hitting the market. Now let's get back to the main event. The upcoming earnings announcements from the big tech players. It's no secret that these companies have been making waves and driving the market lately. So needless to say, investors have been eagerly waiting to see how they've been performing. Will they deliver impressive numbers, or will they leave us disappointed? Only time will tell. Keep your eyes peeled, folks, because the next week is going to be an exciting one in the world of finance. Sit tight and get ready to see some major moves in the market. Happy investing. So, some interesting news in the economy today. The U.S. weekly jobless claims came out lower than expected. Last week, we saw a total of 198,000 seasonally adjusted jobless claims, which is down 13,000 from the previous week. It's also lower than the estimated figure of 210,000. What does this mean for the market? Well, it seems like the market was right in its expectations. This lower number of jobless claims indicates that inflation has remained strong. But there's a concern here. With the labor market still being tight, there might be pressure on prices, and that could lead to more interest rate hikes next year. Claims have been decreasing for a while now, mostly due to layoffs, and it's expected that we'll see more of the same in the coming months. Now let's talk about some global hits. It turns out that Hamas did not use cryptocurrency to fund its activities, contrary to some speculations. In other news, both Meta and TikTok have been given 6 days to respond to Europe's ultimatum regarding their response to the Israel-Hamas conflict. And here's something interesting in the world of technology. Taiwan Semiconductor, the largest semiconductor manufacturer in the world, saw its biggest profit decline in about 5 years. Oh, and one last thing. Fed Chair Jerome Powell recently mentioned that inflation is still too high. He also emphasized that lower economic growth is necessary in order to reach the 2% target. Let's talk about stocks now. Union Pacific recently impressed with its positive earnings, reporting earnings per share of $2, 51 on revenues of $5, $9 billion. While this exceeded the estimated earnings figure of $2, 41, the company fell short of revenue estimates at $6 billion. On the downside, the company's outlook suggests minimal growth, leading them to prioritize cost management and efficiency improvements, particularly in operating and safety metrics. Another company that had a good quarter was CSX Corp, which reported earnings per share of $0, 42 on revenues of $3, 57 billion, although they surpassed revenue estimates of $3, 55 billion. Their EPS was slightly lower than expected at $0, 43. Notably, CSX Corp EPS operating ratio increased from 59, 5% in the previous year, to 63, 8% in the current quarter. Both Union Pacific and CSX Corp managed to exceed low expectations and performed well in the quarter. However, with their stock prices showing only marginal growth over the past 3 years, it seems unlikely that these two stocks will deliver high returns in the near future. In other news, Amazon has made a move into the healthcare sector by starting to deliver medicines via drone. Moreover, Google has announced plans to manufacture phones in India. Now on to crypto. The SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, they've made a decision to drop their abetting and aiding claims against Ripple Labs executives. Yeah, we're talking about Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson. These guys were being accused of violating U.S. securities laws. So, just to give you a quick recap, back in December 2020, the SEC went after Ripple, claiming that they illegally raised over $3 billion through an unregistered securities offering by selling something called XRP. But now it seems like things have taken a turn. Larson and Garlinghouse haven't been shy about expressing their displeasure with the SEC. They've called the whole thing biased and accused the commission of trying to advance some sort of political agenda. but looks like the SEC is changing its tune. Now, here's what's going to happen next. According to the agency, both sides will have to go in front of a judge and figure out the appropriate penalty for Ripple. So we'll have to wait and see what the judge decides. But hey, for now, investors can breathe a little easier knowing that the SEC is dropping those abetting and aiding claims. Fingers crossed for a fair and just outcome for everyone involved. Let's turn to personal finance. IPOs, or initial public offerings, can be a great way to benefit and improve your financial situation. Just take a look at recent success stories like Airbnb and CureVac BV. These companies saw remarkable returns, with Airbnb skyrocketing 114.7% above its IPO price, and CureVac BV offering an impressive 596% return from the offer price. One of the biggest benefits of investing in an IPO is the opportunity to make quick money through listing gains. Typically, the prices are low at the time of the IPO, making it easier for investors to enter. Moreover, companies provide a lot of information during the IPO stage, helping you make an informed decision. However, it's important to remember that not all IPOs are successful. For instance, even big names like Robinhood faced a setback, with shares falling 10% shortly after debuting. Other companies like Uber, Etsy, and Omeros have encountered similar fates. So how do you choose the right IPO to invest in? Here are a few tips to consider. First, understand the business model and evaluate the company's long-term prospects. Look for sustainability rather than blindly following big names. Next, choose a company that has proven itself and has strong supporters and brokers backing it. Don't solely focus on the past performance of a company. Instead, assess its growth potential. Lastly, ensure that the price is reasonable. Not all IPOs are justified, and some companies have a reputation for starting off with an expensive price tag. However, despite your best efforts, investing in IPOs still poses challenges due to the unpredictable nature of the stock market, so remain cautious. If you're ready to dive into the world of IPOs, here are a few upcoming ones to keep an eye on. Abivax on NASDAQ, priced between $11.60 and $13 per share, happening this week. Mach Natural Resources LP on NYSE, priced between $19 and $21 per share, coming next week. Biolingus on NASDAQ, with pricing between $15 and $16 per share. The date hasn't been announced yet, so stay tuned. Good luck and happy investing. Today's personal finance quote really got me thinking. Benjamin Graham once said, "Investing is not about beating others at their game. It's about controlling yourself at your own game." And you know what? He hit the nail on the head with that one. When it comes to investing, it's easy to get caught up in comparing ourselves to others. We see someone else making big gains and we start to feel inadequate. We might even be tempted to take unnecessary risks just to keep up with the crowd. But that's not what investing is all about. Graham reminds us that true investing success is not about beating others or chasing after the latest hot trend. It's about staying true to ourselves and our own financial goals. We need to focus on what works for us personally and not get swayed by market noise or pressure from others. So let's not get caught up in the game of beating others. Instead, let's focus on controlling ourselves and making smart, well-informed decisions that align with our individual financial goals. After all, it's our game to win or lose, and the only competition that truly matters is the one we have with ourselves.
In today's episode, we covered topics ranging from Tesla's earnings and the surge in IPOs to the positive job market and inflation pressure and the performance of Union Pacific and CSX Corp. Then, we discussed the latest developments in the Ripple Labs securities violation lawsuit and the importance of exercising caution in IPO investments. Finally, we emphasized that successful investing is about self-control, not just outperforming others. Thanks for tuning in to the Morning Download, your go-to podcast for personal finance, economics, and market insights in just 8 minutes a day. Don't forget to subscribe for more helpful content and sign up for our free newsletter at Morning Download. Subscribe